This is my reality podcast show, the podcast that allows you to tell your story with no questions asked. If you think you don't have a story, then think again. Everyone's got a story to tell.
John's story. John started carrying a knife in self-defense at a young age and ended up in and out of A&E and young offenders institutes. He's now on a more positive path thanks to Violence Reduction Unit. In John's words, I began carrying a knife at 16 as a retaliation to a fight with a cousin in which I was seriously assaulted. I never cared about the risks at the time, but now that I am sober and clear-headed, I feel guilty about the impact it had on the guy I stabbed and on the people in my life, like my mum. In some ways, I am thankful as the situation could easily have been a lot worse than it was. Back when I was carrying a knife, my father had begun struggling for work. He and my mum were also drinking more often, which was making my mum's depression a lot worse. This led to staying out for days at a time, blocking out my problems with drink and drugs and bringing trouble to my parents' door. During this time, my mother passed away, which made me feel suicidal, and I had no care left for myself or for anyone else. Rah, you know? That's deep still. You see what the young man's going through. You know what I'm saying? Like his dad lost work and 1 and 2, and the parents started staying at home drinking more. His mum dropped out. He had an altercation with one of his cousins, which led to him carrying a knife in the first place. It's a madness still. John's challenges. I was making repeated trips to young offenders institutes and hospital A&E. I'd been struggling with addiction to drugs and alcohol for years, and this was causing seizures. So he's having seizures off of his drug addiction, what he'd been struggling with for years, you know. It's deep still. All this is caused through stress, you know what I'm saying? Problems at home, which lead to stress, you know what I mean? And then, we're men, so sometimes we're on the road as boys and men getting into things, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it don't matter who it's with. Could be with your own family, could be with a friend. It's nuts, So yeah, it's crazy still. Anyway, moving on. The last time I was slashed, I ended up in hospital. I knew I had to change. I had spoken to the Navigator project from the Violence Reduction Unit a few weeks before when I was in the hospital for the last stab wounds, but I didn't feel ready to change then. This time I was ready. This time I told them I wanted help, and with their guidance and support, I began taking baby steps to change my life, which I found difficult but very rewarding, you see. So if you get the right help, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's people out there that can help you, man. If you get the right help, you can change. You know what I mean? If this guy can do it, that means anyone can do it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, there's people out there that will help you, organizations. Do you know what I mean? That will help you. Like, I know one of the organizations, personally, you get me, Gangs United. You get what I'm saying? They're helping young children, like, to change their life and turn their life around, getting involved in youth projects with them and things like that. Like, trades, for example. Do you know what I mean? Some of the kids are doing trade work with Gangs United, and once they get their certificates and everything, they'll be getting jobs, you know what I mean, and put in the right direction. So there's definitely help out there. You just have to seek it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, moving on. I had to change my phone, change my group of friends, and not be around people who were still in that way of life. So he had to change his whole circle. You know what I mean? It was building these positive relationships and moving away from negative people in my life that helped me to get better. It took me until the age of 21 to begin taking responsibility for my actions. Okay. John's lessons. I would say I am now resilient in the changes I have made in my life. In 2 weeks' time, I will have been working with the violence reduction unit for 12 months. I have been clean from my addiction for almost 1 year and have been in full-time employment for just under 6 months. I have not carried a knife since the last time I was stabbed, and I know I will never carry one again. See? So he's framing my intent right around just through losing the bad company and working with this organisation and believing in himself, innit? That he can change. You know what I mean? So that's what it takes. It takes a lot of self-belief, people. You know what I mean? Like, to believe that, you know what, I can do it, and you're getting the right encouragement that you can do it. You know what I mean? The people that are encouraging you can't do it for you. The buck lies with you. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about, man. Okay, moving on. I enjoy these new ways of life without the chaos and pain. If I could speak to my younger self, I would tell him to stay away from drugs and gangs and carrying knives. It's not worth the life it brings you. I would tell him to stay positive and to not be afraid to ask for help. You see, this is what I'm saying to you. You know what I mean? Reach out, man. Because there are people out there who can help you. 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's that man's story, John. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just want to talk about his story for a little bit, Like, he had to carry a knife because of an altercation, do you know what I mean? And he was scared, basically, you know what I mean, for the next time that he gets into an altercation, like, he's going to obviously need to have a weapon in it. That's how man feel in it, you know what I mean, when we get into things. We feel like if we don't carry a weapon or whatever, or we don't defend it, next time we're just going to be forever getting into the same things, you know what I mean, and getting tested. And, you could become a victim, you know what I mean? So, yeah, sometimes you have to attack before you get attacked when you're living that kind of life, you know what I mean? But, yeah, that kind of life ain't good. It's not good for anybody, you know what I mean? And sometimes people don't ask to live that life. They get sucked into it. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you have to watch the people that your friends, you know what I mean? The people that you call your friends, because sometimes they'll be deep in that life, and because you're with them, it's like you're tagged by association. You know what I mean? People see you with these people, and now they're saying, right, you're enemy as well, innit? Because that's my enemy. You're rolling with him or her, so you're enemy as well. And you get me? You're getting tagged by association. So, yeah, you have to be careful, you know what I mean, of how you're moving on the roads, man. Do you know what I mean? In the first place, to be honest, and don't let no one lead you astray, man, because another thing that happens a lot is peer pressure amongst children and kids, you know what I mean, which leads them to doing badness, you know what I mean? So that's another thing again, you know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, this one I'm keeping it quite short, I just want to say, yeah, man, if you haven't picked up a knife yet as a child out there, do you know what I mean? Don't bother doing it, man. It's not worth it. It really ain't. Do you get what I'm saying? If you got altercation with a guy or whatever, you're better off having a fisticuffs, a fight with them one-on-one, and then obviously whatever happens in that happens. But at least you're both going to live to fight another day. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. It's about living, you get me? It's not about attacking each other with weapons and killing each other. It's about living, yeah? So just remember that, man. A good old fight never hurt no one. Do you know what I mean? Knuckle up. Best off doing that, man. Well, that's the days I come from. And you know what? man will go on the green and swing it out. You get what I'm saying? 1-on-1. You get me? And whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses. But we're both going home at the end of it. You get me? No one's going hospital or anything like that. You know what I mean? We're going home to our parents at the end of the day to tell them that we had a fight. And that's it. So yeah, man, try that. That's what the kids need to do. They just need to try knocking it up for a little bit and put the knives down, man. Yeah, trust me. At the end of the day, don't be peer pressured into doing anything that's not for you. That's another thing I'd say, man. Find out what's for you, you know what I mean, and then try and make sure it's positive and stick to that path. Stick on that path. That's what I tell you as I older. You know what I mean? Whatever's good in your life that you're good at, just try sticking on that. You know what I mean? And try and get encouragement with it and help with it. You know what I mean? Because there's people out there that can encourage you and can help you, man. If you're in the gang thing and you don't want to be in it no more, try and get help and encouragement to come out of it. You know? Yeah. Yeah, man, that's it. Right, this is another episode of My Reality Podcast, episode 7. Do you know what I'm saying, yeah? And yeah, man, we're just sticking on telling these stories and joining for these stories, these inspirational stories that I think are inspirational. Do you know what I mean? From other people and what they've been through. Do you know? And yeah, like I said, having a guy reading them, you get me? That's all hood around there, you get what I'm saying? Like the reading straight hood. But you know what? We get through it, man. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And like I said, we get through it together and you get another inspirational story and that's it. Yeah, and obviously I make sense of everything I read so I can break it down for you at the end. So it's all good. Yeah? You know how it goes. Alright. Peace.
My Reality podcast show is a platform that's set up for normal everyday people to come on and tell your story. Guests will send us a recording of their story and the most inspiring story makes it on the show. We'll also contact guests via social media, so look out for that. This is a brand new podcast, KC's My Reality podcast show. If there's anyone out there that wants to talk about their reality on this platform, holler at me on all social media sites. Another way to let us know you want to come on the show is to leave a comment on the YouTube page with your social media details down below and we'll get back to you. That's a problem.
Sickness, let them cold turkey all over the Christmas. I'm cooking right now, and I don't need a witness to get holes in my heart like hand washing dishes. Just to feed my baby, selling drugs is on the wish list. Yeah, selling drugs is on my wish list.